Today I'll be tying a size 26 Midge. I had a customer send me a beat-up fly yesterday and asked me if I could replicate it. I have an image of it with a fly that I tied and sent to him and asked if that was acceptable, and he said yes, so I've been tying an order for him. So this is the fly. It doesn't have a name, so this is the fly that we'll tie. First off, I've not tied size 26 flies before. I think I've tied a handful of size 24s. And so this is something a little bit new to me. The biggest problem is trying to manage the hooks. So I'm able to use my scissors. They're magnetized and I can hold on to it. I did happen to have some Midge jaws for my Renzetti, so I took off the normal Renzetti jaws, and I'm using some Midge jaws, so they're a little bit able to get your fingers in a little bit more. So I'll put the hook in the vise. This is a size 26, and it's a Daiichi 1110. The body, I just decided to use some Veevus thread. This is some 16-aught in an olive. I'll start about 1/3 back on the hook behind the eye. We'll make a few touching turns. This will end up being the body. He happened to use a curved hook, and I just didn't have anything like that in stock this small. So I will just make touching turns a little bit longer than a normal fly, just coming around the bend a tiny bit and back up. And I'm just creating the body with additional thread wraps. I'll make a tiny bit of a taper, but honestly, in a size 26 fly, I'm not sure that makes a lot of difference. You can see from that picture I showed earlier that it was a pretty husky fly, which seemed a little out of proportion to me. So I'm tying them a little bit smaller. And then for the thorax area, I'm going to switch to some black thread. Again, this is a Veevus 16-aught. And I'll place a couple of thread wraps on the hook and holding onto the tag end, and then grab both of those pieces of thread and make a couple more thread wraps, keeping it tight. And then we'll trim that. Both pieces of thread. So the tag end and the olive. I know that many fly tiers say use as minimal wraps as you can get away with on flies, and on a size 26, that's super important. I decided to make a flashback, a wing case, and I'm using some black Krystal Flash. I would have them sitting here in my hackle pliers, so they're easily accessible. I'll grab these and trim the ends and make counterclockwise turn with the thread, so when I bring it over, it doesn't jump forward. And I will pull those fibers back right behind the eye of the hook, so I don't have to trim any of those. For dubbing, I'm just using some black dubbing. This happens to be Spirit River UV2. And we're just going to pull, I don't like that piece, so we'll just pull a little bit of dubbing out. That will be too much. I'll use just a wisp. And all I'm trying to do here is make a little bit of a thorax with the bump. My goal is to wrap back onto these pieces of Krystal Flash so that when I bend this forward, then I have a little bit of substance. So I didn't take a lot of thread wraps early on, and that was purposeful. So I'll hold these upright and go back and then forward, just a kind of an X towards the front and going back. And that's how I can get kind of a lump right in the middle. And we'll hinge right behind the eye. Trim some of these longer fibers out, using my finger to get the thread out of the way. Pull these forward and just drop your thread over the side, and that will secure it. Oops, it came off, so let's try that again. I'll pull, holding on to those fibers, and that was one wrap. There's a total of 3. I have one more long fiber. We'll remove that. I'll pull these back and use thread wraps then to force it back. That was another 3 wraps. And then I'll use a little bit of head cement on my thread, because there's absolutely no way that I can put anything on there after the fly is done. And as I make my thread wraps, I will go, oops, it came undone. So I'll make it going back towards, away from the eye of the hook, and that forces those fibers backwards. Make sure that I can see the eye. And then I'll take my scissors like I normally do, put them on the body, and I just want them about the same length as the thorax. And there we go. Put these back for the next fly. It's a good way to be able to hold your materials. And now I'll just put the edge of my scissors right on the thread and trim that. I have a couple of long fibers. I don't care if they're a little bit messy, but I don't like these long fibers on a size 26. So there's just a simple size 26 midge that my customer wanted, and I should say that he ended up hooking, I believe it was 4 fish in the 16 to 20 inch range with this fly, so, or a similar looking fly. So I'll send these to him, and hopefully he'll be successful. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe to my RiverKeeper Flies website, and I will have a description of the materials I use down below. Hope to see you soon.